This is Rooted Cosmic Soul, sacrificing the patriarchy from a broom closet in the here and the there, offering rememberings in times of chaos, confusion, love, and belonging. During this most recent eclipse cycle and period that we had in March 2025 into end of April, and I think also all the other planetary energy that's happening at the moment, something that's been coming up for me or that I'm curious about as someone who's on a healing journey, who is awakening in terms of my divinity, my relationship to the cosmos and the unseen, and the seriously, amazingly beautiful, witchy self that I embody, is this idea of inside out, this idea of be the change you want to see in the world. So doing that work to create harmony and balance internally, with the idea that it can create harmony and balance externally. So maybe you're not doing that to create external harmony and balance. The way I worded that might imply that, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just thinking about this, what I'm experiencing in terms of the deep healing journey that I am on to actively, intentionally release definitions, beliefs, and behaviors about what is possible, particularly what is possible for me, who I am, what I came here for, what it means to be human, the power within my relationship to myself and to others, just doing a lot of healing work to take back what all that means. Because up until an intentional healing journey, all of that for me was dictated by the construct of power over patriarchy, white supremacy, anti-blackness. 51 years in, it's interesting that I am starting now to really think about, when I change within, that the world will change outside of me. What I'm beginning to contemplate is this idea, or really this understanding, this reality of that it's not that the world changes, but that my relationship to the world is what is changing. And so that inside out, it's like I'm becoming less reactive in the world. And so, that energy that I'm putting out, where instead of being reactive, I'm being responsive, that's energy. And that energy is helping the collective. Instead of giving energy to a reactive world, I'm giving energy to a responsive world. And so there's something about that I've been really thinking about the last couple of days, of like the power of that. With that, it's really having to be okay with the timing of it. So the part of me that is an empath, that loves this planet, that loves my dog and loves the people in my community, really wants everything to move faster, because there is part of me that feels like we're out of time, or I can see that people are hurting, right? Some people are hurting in really devastating ways, and I want that hurt to stop now. And so continuing to commit and dedicate myself to responsive behavior versus reactive behavior is holding that impatience with patience, or remembering, or like the continued drive to put responsive energy into the world. I think pop culture and Hollywood have really conditioned us to think, even if we're allowed to think about magical ways or magical times, it's really conditioned us to think that it's like this crone in a pointy black hat is stirring her cauldron, snaps her fingers, and a new timeline just simply exists. And I think that does a disservice because the mess that we're in now has been percolating for thousands of years. For us to think that after a few questionable elections across the globe, things would just change overnight is questionable. Like, no, but does that mean our individual selves do nothing? That because I can't see a collective large shift, that a collective large shift is not happening. Does that mean that? I mean, I think that's an individual contemplation. I don't believe that's what it means, but I am conditioned to believe that's what it means because that conditioning will stop me from practicing the energy necessary to combat the energy that is harming all of us. The other day, I was hanging out playing with Oracle, and Baba Yaga showed up. And Baba Yaga is about patience and letting things occur as they occur, so like divine timing. And I really needed to hear that because it's tough not to get impatient in a world where people are experiencing harm, in a world where even there's moments where I have to like really combat fear over my safety, my security, my stability in these times of my work was specifically targeted. And the way that I even believe now these broom closet recordings are being targeted, like no matter what I do, the YouTube algorithm just will not share my will not share my stuff with a larger crowd. And so be it. Thank you to my loyal 5 or 6 people who continue to engage these. I could be reactive and change what I'm doing. I could go against what spirit is telling me around these recordings and my collective readings in a reactive way because I'm afraid or I'm worried. And I'm choosing to stay the course, stay my little spirally course of when I feel intuitively moved. I do a collective recording, right? Or like it really lately, it's been when I feel this like real beautiful energy of the collective of wanting direction, needing some insight to help move us along. I can sense that. I can feel it. And it's a very loving energy. It's loving doesn't necessarily mean easeful, but I can feel it and I'm going with the flow. And sometimes I can meet the call and I do when I can. And sometimes, like everyone else, the energy is a bit too much and I can't meet the call immediately. And so I don't. So, this idea like YouTube wants folks to speak a certain way, post a certain time, do all these things in a certain very specific boxed way in order for the algorithm to grant you a larger audience. And I struggle with that, as I said, but I continue to come back to this idea of I know what changes I'm doing on my inside and that there's likely things happening on the outside that I can't necessarily see. And it almost feels like it's this like how committed or dedicated am I to the divine feminine, to the less harm. So if you too have been moving through this like it's not fast enough, the change isn't happening fast enough, change isn't happening fast enough, this is some BS. I get it. Totally. And you have to decide for you what you want to do with that. I want to offer you that I think there is quite a bit happening that we can't see with our physical eyes because our physical eyes are so indoctrinated that that's why we're in these healing awakening journeys so that we could see differently, so we can sense differently. And for those of us who are new on this healing journey, perhaps we're just not there yet, but we're getting there. And I'm going to let that be enough. I'm going to trust that collectively we are doing what we need to do to be a part of the rising of the divine feminine. So thank you for your patience with your journey because it helps me win my patience with my journey. Uh, yeah. This is Rooted Cosmic Soul, sacrificing the patriarchy from a broom closet. The energy here stays here. The energy there stays there. I'll send to you later. Return when moved to do so. Same Bruja time, same Bruja channel.